Right, let's now welcome Mr. Hopewell Radebe from the South African National Editors Forum. He's the projects and office manager there to also weigh in on this developing story. Hopewell, it's a great pleasure having you on the show with us today. So let's firstly talk about the commendable ethical conduct, in fact, of the journalist, Mr. Pitilo Mayberg, in this regard.
Yeah, I think in our statement we have said that it is commendable indeed that the journalist decided to adhere to the journalism ethics, because if we are the ones that take bribes, therefore we are contributing as journalists to the spiral to immoral decay of our nation. So it is us, journalists, who are supposed to stand ground and make sure that we defend the pension monies that are being wasted or abused. These monies people have worked for, and it is important that we protect the integrity also of the nation, of our democracy.
Absolutely, Hopewell, because we've seen some reports and we've heard some reports also in the past that, of course, some journalists actually fell victim to these bribery scams. But if such people are so brazen, then, Hopewell, as to attempt bribing a journalist in full view of the public, does this not also expose the worrying factors that, firstly, some journalists unfortunately prey and also victims, as I alluded to, of such acts, and not all will do the right thing, right? And secondly, the fact that indeed some officials are bribing journalists in order to kill certain stories and information, which is a gross violation of our ethics.
There are two things that are going to happen in the life of every journalist. You will be bribed to kill the story, or you'll be trapped so that you could be exposed that you are just as corrupt. So a journalist who's taking a bribe should know that they too can easily be recorded as they take the bribe, and they too will face the wrath of the law, because we are not protected as journalists. We cannot do as we want. We are subject to the rules of the country and the laws of the country. And if a journalist is trapped and accepts the bribe and then gets exposed, he too will be seen as a person who has contributed towards the moral decay of our society. And that person should equally face what you call the wrath of the law. Because if it's money from pensions, it cannot be said, therefore, that the journalist will have to succeed to live with the proceeds of crime. So that journalist would have sacrificed him or herself and become a criminal.
And Hopewell, this is actually happening at a time where the country is still trying to deal with those widespread allegations of corruption in very higher echelons of our governing structures as well. So this has also raised quite a few concerns about both ethics amongst journalists and among media houses who do employ independent contractors, right? Because it becomes very difficult to monitor every journalist's movement on their particular stories or even their sources. So how can we then resolve this as both employers, which are the media houses, and does SANEF have anything to do in order to assist in this regard?
It will not be a SANEF thing that needs to be done. We can only recommend to media houses. I've heard, not seen it, but I've heard that at one stage in one of the big newspapers overseas, I think it in the United States, they've had to subject journalists to, what is this thing where you test whether you are lying or not? I've forgotten the name. So where you end up being tested to see whether or not you've at one stage in your life accepted a bribe. Yes. So those are the things that maybe even us, if we really want to believe that we are genuine in our craft and we are genuine journalists, we should not be afraid to be tested and checked whether we are accepting bribes or not. And that's the only thing that maybe a media house can guarantee itself, that it has employed ethical journalists. Because when a journalist gets out to do a story, he represents what you call the media house. You will be representing the SABC when you are doing interviews with the rest of the people. And when you come back home with your brown envelope, you are hiding it. You're not going to submit it to the SABC. It's for your own personal growth and career, and maybe even to pay for your car, as it once was accused by other persons. So, and that media house has every right to then have you charged for bringing its it and to what you call it, its image into disrepute. Yeah.
All right. All right, Hopewell, maybe just a very quick one there. I mean, what do you say then in this aspect? As we're talking, most of these media houses do employ independent contractors in light of journalists, right? How do you then give a mandate to them to say to them, look, maybe try lifestyle audits to ensure that your journalists are not living above their means? Or because you will find that some people will even say, look, I am an individual, I'm in a romantic relationship with this individual, and then the issues there of biases and biasness come into question as well, because how do you trust such an individual to go ahead and be unbiased when you send them to actually interview such subjects?
Newsrooms will always take the risk of seeing themselves, their institutions embarrassed and brought into disrepute. So they have to have some mechanisms of their own to ensure that their own journalists are adhering. For example, when you are accepting the gift, it should be the newsroom's rules and regulations that you come and declare anything that you got, even if it's a T-shirt from a political party, even if it's going out on a lunch meeting, you have to declare, the editor has to approve that you are going out on a lunch. You're possibly going to get a story, but somebody has to know, and somebody has to agree that that is done and it's sanctioned.
All right. Unfortunately, I'm losing Hopewell there. That was Mr. Hopewell Radebe, South African National Editors Forum Projects, as well as Office Manager, weighing in there on the attempted bribery of journalist Mr. Peter Louis Mayberg there.